Good night, everyone. Tonight, God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Irma Jill Spirit Divine. I'm here to get your word on tonight. The topic will be Jacob plots increase. He buys his uncle house. And so we left off yesterday that Jacob children, and God saw that Jacob loved Rachel more than Leah. So God opened Leah's womb for her to have children. So they started out, having children, and Rachel could not conceive anything at first. So today's lesson is going to be Jacob plots increase, and land will increase since Jacob had been there. Because when Jacob got there in his field, he had little plots, little everything. And God told Jacob, you know, God told Jacob, and only one allowed, that he will be blessed on this earth, and everyone that's around him will be blessed. So we see that what God said, it came to pass because while Jacob was there and Laban was around him, you know, he was blessed. He was blessed. So Jacob arrived at land where he had little flocks, but increased so greatly since Jacob had been there. So this passage is going to come from Genesis chapter 30, verse 25 through 43. Now Jacob had so many children. Last passage he had got married. He had so many children, but after Rachel, had given birth to Joseph. Which chose Joseph is going to be a promised child. They're going to get God's plan started. So Jacob said to Lamb, send me on my way so I can go back to my own time. So Jacob really supposed to be there for 2 months. For 2 months until Esau calmed down. Because Esau was supposed to be trying to kill him and all that. He just went to everything can cool down. But he wound up and been there for like um, 14 years. Because he served 7 years, served another 7 years to have Rachel. So now remember, Jacob's supposed to stay there for 2 months and come back to his hometown. But we see he served Laman total of 14 years for Rachel and Minnie and married a sister in the process. So on top of that, Lee had so many children and Rachel had one of her own. Now he is ready to go to his own hometown. He ready to go home and build his own family. He said he wants to go see about his own family. Take care of his own family. He got so many children for Lee. He got children for Rachel's servants, and he had one child of Rachel for her own flesh and blood. So he ready to go and build for his own house, take care of his own house. So he told Lambert, "Give me my wives." He said, "Give me my children." For whom I have served you, and I will be on my way. He said, "Give me my wives." you know, Give me my children, you know, and I'll be on my way. But he just stayed there longer than he was supposed to be there. So Jacob said, do you know how much? Jacob said, do you know how much I worked and done for you? All the work that I had done for you. So my thing is, if Jacob said he ready to go, he shouldn't have no problem letting Jacob go. Because Jacob hadn't did extra time for him when he wasn't supposed to. You know. So Lambert said, if I have found favor in your eyes, please stay. So now we see that Lambert is begging Jacob to stay because Lambert know once Jacob gone, your blessing gonna stop flowing. Your blessing is flowing because Jacob is right there. Because God said anybody that's around Jacob gonna be blessed. The whole earth gonna be blessed. So he begging Jacob to stay. That he saw how increase it was since Jacob been there. So he begged Jacob to stay, and he also acknowledged. So now he acknowledged that God had blessed him because of Jacob. So now, that's something when somebody can acknowledge. Now he acknowledged Jacob's presence. He said, I acknowledge, that God had blessed him because of Jacob was there. And that's a good thing that he acknowledged that his blessing came from due to Jacob being there. So God had blessed him because of Jacob staying. He know if Jacob leaves, the blessing will stop flowing. So that's why he begging Jacob to stay. You know, he lucky Jacob didn't leave right after. He deceived Jacob, but he wanted Jacob. The love was so strong and for Rachel. He wanted to stay there to get the woman that he wanted. He didn't want to just take off with Lee. He wanted to take off with Rachel. But at the same time, he did not toss Leah on the side. He dragged her along too. So Jacob had woke up. Jacob had worked for him, and everything was under his care. So remember, Jacob took care of his lifestyle. You know, the 14 years. He told him, "You don't have to pay me anything, but give me your daughter. You don't have to give me anything. Just give me your daughter." But Laban gonna keep on being determined to pay Jacob. All Jacob wanted was Rachel. But Laban is willing to pay him. To trying to bribe him to stay. Jacob stated, "The little that you had before I came had increased greatly." Because you remember when Jacob had arrived there, he arrived in his field. He didn't have too much in his field, and Jacob loved doing what he was doing in the field and was taking care of it before he even met Laban. So Jacob said, "A little that you had before I came, you increased greatly. And the Lord had blessed you whatever I had been." And see, Jacob already know. Because God had told him, I'm gonna bless you. Anyone that's around you gonna get blessed. Everyone on the earth in his nation will be blessed because of you. So now Jacob, he recognized. He said, "You increased greatly, and the Lord had blessed you whatever I had been." So Jacob know whatever he been and Laban's land and his nation, God had blessed Laban because of Jacob was there. So Jacob has said, "May I do something for my own household?" And I said, Jacob ready to go home. Jacob have his own household now. He got 2 wives, he got so many kids. Let me go so I can take care of my own household. He don't want to do that under his roof because he won't feel like he's no man. He wants to get his own house to take care of his own household because he have a large household. So Jacob have his own family and he wants to build a life, a life and prosper, more because you remember God blessed him, and Jacob, he got to get around. Because God said you will be blessed and you will be a blessing. So he can't stay in one spot. He got a family to take care of, and he have other places he have to go to bless other people. So Jacob had his own family. So God had blessed him to be a blessing. He wasn't supposed to be there that long. So now he is ready to go. I don't blame him. After he got married, he should have had left. But he hung around there and made all these kids. Now he wasn't supposed to be there that long, but now he's ready to go. Just like Jacob said, since he been there, you've been blessed, in every way. God blessed him in every way. Wherever Jacob went, he was blessed. His field, his flock, everything was just increasing. So now Jacob has his own family and he wants to take care of them. So now Laban still wants to pay Jacob, asking, "What should I give you?" And Jacob said, "Nothing." He keep on trying to pay Jacob. Jacob don't want him to pay. Just what Jacob loved to do, work in the field. He work in the field, to get Rachel. He told him, "You don't have to pay me anything. Just give me your daughter." But Laban keep on wants to pay him, trying to use the excuse to constantly keep Jacob there. But Jacob had a large family and he's ready to go. So we see that Jacob is a nice person. Jacob said, "If you would do this for me, if you do one thing for me, now he will go on straightening your flocks and watching over them." Now see, Jacob, he ready to go take care of his family, but he's still willing to take care of his flocks in his field. So this when he keep on wants Jacob to stay. So Jacob like, "Okay, I'm gonna still take care of your flocks if that's what you want. But Jacob cannot stay there. He have his own family to take care of. So Jacob is still willing, to look after his flock. Now Jacob came up with an idea since he determined to pay him. Now Jacob came up with something, but all the while, this is God doing. God about to interfere in this situation here. So Jacob said, "Let me go through all your flocks today and remove from them every sprinkled spotted sheep, every dark colored lamb, and every spotted or sprinkled goat." He said there will be his wages. Now Jacob came up with a plan because every time I look around, he keep on offering to pay Jacob. Jacob keep on saying no, no. So Jacob came up with this here, and he said that will be my wages. So this is the way that he wants to keep. So he won't keep saying he wants to pay Jacob. Jacob said, "Whatever you check on the wages, you have paid him." Now Jacob said, "Whatever you check on the wages, you have paid him." So when he checked on these sheep and all this spotted stuff that Jacob had named, he said once he check on them and make sure they is there, you gonna check on his wages. Now this is a good plan that Jacob came up with because he determined to pay Jacob. Now he said any goat in his possession that is not sprinkled or spotted, or any lamb that is not dark colored will be considered stolen. So that's his way. That's why he told her, when you go check and see all these things in here, you check it on his wages. So if you see your possession has not been sprinkled and spotted on, and all these things that Jacob had did, you can consider that stolen. If you don't see that in your collection. So now Laban had agreed. So Laban agreed. Let it be as you have said. So he agreed to the ideas that Jacob came up with. Now that same day, he removed all the male goats that was sprinkled and spotted, and all the sprinkled and spotted female goats, he placed them in the care of his son. It's time for him to start putting his children away. So the ones he separated, he said he put that in the care of his son, and he had plenty sons. So Laban he put a 3-day journey, between himself and Jacob, while Jacob continued to raise the rest of Laban's flocks. So Jacob set apart. Now he's separated. This is God doing. God had to interfere because the whole time that Jacob had to do 14 years, it was unnecessary. So when you get treated unfairly, God is always watching. And he wait for his own time to step in and intervene. Now he about to interfere. He done watched them 14 years how Laban, his own uncle, had deceived him. He just deceived Jacob. So now this is God's way, having Jacob to separate stuff. And all the while Laban not gonna pay attention. But all the while a whole lot of flocks gonna be going to Jacob. And that's how the name of the topic, Jacob flocks had increased. That's how his flocks gonna increase. Jacob set apart the young of the flocks by themselves, but male the rest faced the sprinkling and the dark colored animals that belonged to Lamb. So he made separate. So he about to separate. What's gonna be for Lamb and what's gonna be for him. The flock for himself, and he did not put them with Lamb and animals. So this Jacob separating the flock from his to his and Hilam. Whatever the stronger female were in heat, Jacob would place the branches in front of the animal. So the animal was weak. The animal was weak, and he would not place them there. So Jacob gives the weak animals went to Lamb. Now all the weak animals they had, it went to Lamb. Now the strong ones went to Jacob. In this way, the man gear grew exceedingly prosperous and came to his own Lord of life. Now Jacob gonna be. Now this is the way. God is allowing Jacob flocks to increase. So Jacob separated. He gave Laban all the weak animals. Jacob kept the strong one that made his flock increase. Made his increase. And Laban probably didn't pay attention to what Jacob was doing. So in this way, the man grew exceedingly prosperous and came to his own large flock. And that was Jacob. Jacob came to his own large flock. So uh, now, so God supernatural intervened. He intervened to increase Jacob. He intervened to increase Jacob because he saw what happened. Increase Jacob flocks. Jacob may have relied on his own effort, tended as they were by pastoring, but God had determined. God had determined to bless him. Because God had told him, you blessed. Now, wherever Jacob goes, he going to be blessed. So whatever situation is going on, like the situation he was in, God going to be watching. Because just like God had told him in that dream, I will be with you wherever you go. And God meant that. So God with him, you know, while he were with his uncle, and his uncle deceived him. God watched the whole thing. God said, I'm going to be with you wherever you go. So whenever you get plagued, and you get deceived, and everything else, God going to be right there, and God will come up with a plan to interfere every time. So because God had blessed him, and how God saw everything Laban had did to Jacob. God saw everything that Laban did to Jacob. He ended up with two wives when he supposed to be working for one wife. So Jacob said to Rachel, now he talking to Rachel, I work for your father with all his strength. But yet your father had cheated me by changing my wages. So that's why Jacob refused for Laban to pay him. He keep on asking, what your wages is? What your wages is? Because I want to pay you. And Jacob don't want him to pay him anything because he cheated him out of his wages. Because when he had worked them 7 years, he cheated him out of his wages because he wanted Rachel and he ended up with Lee. So that's why he don't want Lambert to pay him for wages at all because he's still mad what happened. And God saw everything that he did to Jacob, changing his wages to 10 times more. So he had to end up working 14 years instead of just 7. Instead of him saying, "Oh my bad," I'm sorry. Just go ahead and take Rachel. Now he gonna tell him he had to work another 7 years to have Rachel. When he the one deceived Jacob, when he should just give Rachel to him. Jacob had to work a whole another 7 years to get the woman that he really wanted. So however, God had not allowed him to harm Jacob in any kind of way. Because see, when God said, I'm gonna be with you, I'm gonna be with you wherever you go and ever you do, God meant that. He was with Jacob. He was watching over Jacob. He did not allow Laban to hurt Jacob in no kind of way while Jacob was there. So God had taken away your father's lifestyle and had given them to him. See, he still was talking to Rachel. So he's saying that God had taken away your father's lifestyle and had given it to him because um because Laman had cheated him of his wages. But now he keep on talking about he wants to pay you. I want to pay you for your wages. You cheated Jacob out of his wages. When the 7 years he worked, he was supposed to go home with Rachel. Now he done end up with Lee and all this extra baggage that he did not ask for. So we see before Jacob arrived at Laman, he arrived in his field. And he noticed that he had little flocks, little animals in his field. But since he been there, God had blessed Laman and increased his flock. He increased in all kind of ways. Since Jacob had been there. Now Jacob worked 10 times for Laman to have Rachel, and God saw how Laman had cheated Jacob. He saw how Laman had cheated him. and keep on begging, I'll pay you the wages, sometimes, you know, he felt it bad. He felt it bad that he cheated Jacob. When he know he plotted to have him to marry his first daughter. But he should have told Jacob that at the beginning. And Laban should have found somebody else to marry his older daughter, but Jacob can marry the one that he really wanted to marry. So Jacob waited 10 times for Laban to have Rachel. And God saw how Laban had cheated Jacob. So at the end, God intervened and blessed Jacob. He ended up with adding flocks to his collection and left with more. You know, so God intervened. God had blessed Jacob in so many ways. And Jacob ended up leaving with extra flocks to his collection. You know, he increased his flocks. He increased, and God had intervened, allowed him to increase. He separated all this stuff, and he gave Laban so much, gave him all the weak animals. Jacob kept all the strong ones that add to his collection and made his stock increase. He left with so much stuff than what he went there with, you know, and he done increased a family, children and everything else. So it was time for him to get from under his shelter and go take care of his own family. That's what he told them. It's time for me to go take care of my own family. I can't take care of my family under your roof. You know, a man can't take care of his family under his mom or his dad's roof because it look like he's not mad enough to take care of his family. It's like you under somebody else's roof that's helping you. You know, so it doesn't matter how you get treated. Remember that God is always watching. God is always watching. He sees everything. And if push come to shove, at the permanent divine time, God always stepped in. He stepped in, he intervened. He had Jacob separate that stuff. Was a plan to add to his collection, where his flock would increase. So he already blessed Lamb. He took some stuff from him to give to Jacob because how he treated and cheated Jacob. He had Jacob away 10 times more than what he expected to. Now he was supposed to be in there for a few months, until Esau calmed him down. But he ended up being there 14 years and years after that because he done married two wives and having so many kids for them and the servant and everything else. So he ended up there a long time. But now he ready to take care of his own family and get from under Laman's roof. So we see that Jacob flocks had increased at the end. We saw that God had intervened and allowed his increase, allowed his flocks to increase. He already had increased land. Since Jacob was there, Laman was blessed. His collection had increased. You know, and since God had saw everything that he did to Jacob, God had interfered ultimately at the end for Jacob flocks to increase. So Jacob left with more than what he went there with. You know, so Jacob flocks increased, and so did Laban. But so Jacob left more than what he had when he got there. And we also see that Laban had acknowledged that he was blessed because of Jacob was there. The God said you're gonna be blessed wherever you go. The whole earth gonna be blessed because of you. Anybody that's around you gonna be blessed. So now we see, what God said, it came to pass because Jacob was around living on his land. And by Jacob was there, Laban had become to be blessed, had become to increase, and that's a good thing that he acknowledged that he been blessed because of Jacob, you know, and Jacob realized, you know, that Laban was blessed because of him. So he remembered what God had told him, you know. So that's all the word I have for you on today. And remember, no matter what situation you go through, no matter how you get treated, remember that God is always watching and always with a divine, special time to step in. Look at the divine time that He stepped in with the Israelites. That was 430 years. I know we don't want our situation to last that long, but God was watching over Israel. God was hearing their cries. See, God hear your cries. He hear your cries. He stepped in on his own, not on our time. He stepped in on his own divine time. So that's all the word I have for y'all today, and I see y'all on the next video. Have a blessed day.